Hello and welcome back. This is our second lecture for the course Theological Foundations for a Christian Worldview. I'm Dr. Giltner, and today we're going to pick up where we left off by talking about transcendence. So, at the end of the first lecture, we talked about how big questions for the religious mind, for religious thinking, culminate in this experience of wonder about the world, and has a unique sense that something is beyond. Something gave rise to this. Something that is beyond us, and yet somehow near to us. And that beyond is what we call in philosophy of religion the transcendent. And you can see in the picture here of Joe looking at the moon. This is a picture from one of your readings, is a video from one of your readings. It's about 2 minutes long. If you haven't seen it, you need to press pause, go watch that video, 2 minutes long. It's called Joe versus Volcano Moon Scene, and then you come back. So for those of you who had to do that, welcome back. So I love this movie. If you haven't seen this movie, by the way, well, that just shot to the top of your to-do list. And I love this scene. The premise of the movie is pretty bizarre, but basically, Joe, for various reasons, mostly because he's terminally ill, has agreed to be a sacrifice for this Polynesian tribe to their volcano god by throwing himself into the volcano. And so as he's heading out there by boat, that his boat, which is owned and captained by Meg Ryan, gets hit by a typhoon, which a typhoon, I am given to understand, is what you call a hurricane when it's in the Pacific Ocean. I don't really know why. Science, probably. But anyway, so the typhoon hits the boat, destroys it, but thankfully, again, this is a very bizarre movie, but it's great. Thankfully, Joe has 4 enormous luggage chests that can float, and so he ties them together. You can barely see it in the picture, and they float for days. Meg Ryan is unconscious. They have no water, just a very little bit of water, and so he becomes dehydrated. He is, just out in the sun. There's no land. And then he has this experience with this moon rising above. And in this moment, as he's looking at that moon, he says these words: "Dear God, whose name I do not know, I forgot how big... Thank you for my life." This scene, and the reason I share it with you, is one of the best, if not the best, cinematic expressions of what transcendent experience is. I remember for me, one of my big ones early on, before I became a Christian, I became a Christian when I was 20 years old, I was sitting around a campfire with my friends, and we all came to this moment of silence, when the conversation lulls and the fire is crackling, and I looked up and saw all the stars, which you can actually see out in the country, and suddenly had this experience of smallness. This is very, very common in transcendent experience, that I was so small. And frankly, it frightened me. It wasn't just a wow, wonderment, joy type thing. I got scared. This universe is so big. I mean, you think about it, you're floating on a rock around a big ball of explosion in the middle of a space that's 40 billion light years across. It's just crazy. This is that transcendent experience. You've probably had this by now. Usually it's out in nature. You're standing on a mountain or by a river. It can come out of a stressful situation or a joyous occasion. But this is basically the experience of being. when we are suddenly stricken by a number of connected facts about the world. One, we are. We are the case. Something is going on. Even if it's all an illusion, there's still an illusion. Something is happening. And we're not responsible for it. And what I mean by that is we didn't come up with it. We didn't even cause ourselves. We are utterly dependent upon this universe that we live in. And somehow we are the case. Why is there not nothing, we asked with Leibniz? That is the key question, right? Because here I am. It's the indescribable experience of I'm not nothing, obviously. But I'm not something I understand. And I'm not responsible for my own existence, in the sense that I did not cause myself into being. And that means that something greater than I exists all around me. It was here before me, it is now, and will continue on without me. Now, this is the basis of what we call transcendent experience. The experience that the world is. If you think about this experience, what I was experiencing when I was looking up at the moon around that fire, or the stars around that fire, when Joe was looking at the moon, yes, it's incredible that the moon is so big, but it's also that the moon is there. It's that the moon exists at all. That anything exists at all. Now, some, of course, would say this is, just kind of a ancillary effect of being conscious, to whatever extent that is, to serve some evolutionary imperative that helps us to preserve the species, or whatever. But for the religious mind, transcendent experience bespeaks a deeper reality in the world. And it's unavoidable. Being declares itself. You don't have to teach yourself or a child that they exist. It's something you just know. And it's so strange for something so mysterious to also be the most fundamental and obvious thing about you. You didn't choose to be here, but you are here. And you're not the only thing going on either. Unless you think you're a brain in a vat, which I guarantee you, if all this is a figment of someone's imagination, it's my imagination. You're the one that doesn't exist, right? We all feel that. Because we're all these sentient beings moving through this world that we're not responsible for, that we don't control, but nonetheless participate in. The word at the bottom of your screen, Geworfenheit, this is a term Heidegger uses. The best way that I can translate it in German, it means something like having been thrown inness. We are thrown into life already in progress. It existed before us, and we have to figure out where to go with that. This is what we call the transcendent. That is the beyond. These are the ultimate and universal things that all humans experience and want to know what's going on. Where did this come from? Well, to this ultimate and universal question, religion says something that actually transcends the universe, that inhabits the universe, but is not, strictly speaking, a part of the universe. So it is not just transcendent, but it's also immanent. Because it transcends everything, it's also very close to everything. It's the ultimate proximity. That transcendent is completely beyond us, beyond ourselves and beyond existence itself. And yet, while exceeding us, connects us. We all are participating in this thing called being, isness. Whatever is going on, we know that something is going on because being declares itself, and that We're all a part of it. This beingness. And this leads us to what we call transcendent being. You read for this week Meditations in a Toolshed by C.S. Lewis. If we're going to really understand religion, we need to, so to speak, think inside it for a second. Well, longer than a second, at least 8 weeks, I suppose. We need to not just look at religion, but we need to kind of look along it. Not believe it necessarily, but look along it. Along that ray of light, not just at it. Because the transcendent being is a being that, while we can say what it's like, we can never truly say what it is, because it's not one of the things, which we'll expand upon in the next lecture. But this is what the religious mind sees when they see the world. That being and experience points to something that gives rise to being and experience. And that is what we call transcendent being, or God, which is where we'll pick up next time in Theological Foundations for a Christian World View.